Hi, I'm Valerie Bowling, Executive Director of the R&D Leadership Summit, and I'm here doing 10 questions with Fred Hassan, former CEO of Schering Plough and currently Partner and Managing Director, Healthcare, Warburg Pincus. Fred is a leader of leaders, and I want to learn more about this. So, Fred, welcome.
Thank you, Valerie. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. We have 10 questions for you,
Sure.
which came from our R&D leadership community.
Sure.
So here we go. Number one, how did you get into the pharmaceutical industry?
So I'll give you the bigger picture and then I'll tell you exactly how it happened.
Okay.
So I've always believed that I'd be the happiest when I could work on something where I had a sense of purpose and also where I could be pretty good at doing something meaningful, where I'd have some capabilities that I could bring to the job. So I was an MBA student, Harvard Business School. In '72, I was approached for an interview by Vice President of Sandoz, which is now Novartis. And I really liked the pharmaceutical industry opportunity for two reasons. First, I believe that there is no better sense of purpose, and I also believed that at that time, than to bring new drugs that people are waiting for, new medicines that people are waiting for. Secondly, I had been trained as a chemical engineer, and this was one more extension of something that I already had been trained in. And thirdly, small item, but probably important at that time, they hired me while I was still at school. So that was an important...
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's very
Okay.
interesting. Yeah.
Excellent, so thank you. Number two, in serving in many leadership roles, what is it about you that brought you to two leadership roles?
Well, I'm at my happiest when I'm getting other people to succeed around me. And I really enjoy building teams of people, creating a sense of convergence, and then seeing them succeed. I take a lot of joy out of that. That's one reason I've enjoyed various leadership roles, because if you can think outside yourself, it's actually a lot of fun being a leader.
Very nice, thank you. Number three, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges in R&D?
The biggest challenge in R&D is understanding these biological cascades. We've understood a lot of things about genomics, genetics. Lots of things are being discovered, big data, but the biological cascades are still being understood. If we could understand those, then we'll find drugs that'll go after specific diseases and deal with them very quickly. I think right now we have to do a lot of trial and error. It costs a lot of money. And that's one reason why drugs are also expensive, because we don't waste, but we spend a lot of money trying to get new drugs out there, over $2 billion a year. So that I really do believe is the biggest challenge in our business.
Okay, thank you. Number four, what is your advice to leaders on getting honest feedback from their scientists?
The most important thing is to create a culture where it's safe to speak up. And you have to role model that culture yourself, starting with yourself. If people don't feel safe, you will not get the feedback. You can do all kinds of pulse surveys, all kinds of other surveys, but if there is a culture where people are not being given the safety of speaking up, you're not going to get the real feedback. If you can create that culture, role model it, then you can use different mechanisms, such as email surveys, you can do external surveys, you can yourself be out there in luncheon sessions with the frontline people. You can find, but the culture comes first.
And I imagine scientists feel quite pleased when the leader of the organization takes the time to meet with them.
They are very pleased, and I've always done that when I was CEO, to reach out to people in the labs and on the bench. And at the same time, I assured them that whatever they told me, there would be no issues with their supervisors, because I wanted candor and I wanted to learn how we could all get better.
Right, excellent. Okay, so number five, in helping so many executives, what leaderships can you share with those of us who want to contribute to the success of others?
I would say start with being outside yourself, because as I said earlier, if you can see others succeed around you and take joy in their success, then you're already a happier person than if you were somebody else who's not really caring about other people. You have to care about people and then show them that you really care. If you can get that trust to be built, then you can be a very good coach. and they will learn and develop around you. But if they don't totally trust you, then you're not going to be a great coach.
Now, I have to share with you that I asked Professor Bob Langer at MIT the same question, and he had the same answer.
Oh.
He said it's about caring and making sure that people around you know that you care. So
Sometimes
yeah.
you do care, but you don't let people know that you care. Showing that you care is extremely important.
Good point. Excellent point indeed. How did you continue to recharge your battery in keeping strong and staying on the cutting edge?
I think it always starts with a relentless curiosity. My own philosophy is there is no such thing as a retirement age or going into a slow zone. If you remain curious and you're listening and you're learning, actively soliciting information so that you can learn and grow, then you are strong and vital throughout your life. So what I do, I'll give you a simple thing that I do. I carry a notebook and a pencil with me, and as I get great ideas, I note them down, and I don't lose those ideas. I keep seeing those now and then. It just keeps me recharged. There are different mechanisms we can use to keep ourselves recharged.
Excellent. Okay. What are you currently excited about in R&D?
The most exciting thing is the cancer space. The war got started in the early 70s under President Nixon, war against cancer. I think we are now getting to a stage where we can start to see some changes. Just like HIV was a horrible disease 2 decades ago, and now it's becoming a manageable disease, I think cancer in the next 2 decades is going to be a manageable disease. And the most important tools that I see are the advance of the anchored therapy of immuno-oncology, which is coming through now, big time, and that combined with targeted therapies, which have already been developed to some extent, and that combined with more genetic information that people are going to be able to get about themselves, I think we're going to see cancer becoming just manageable or just disease that gets solved, just like HIV is under control.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Very, very exciting. Number 8. You lived in 3 different continents, if I'm correct.
Yes.
What was your favorite place to live in and why?
So I grew up in Asia. I've also I got my education in Europe to a large extent. Also worked in Europe, worked in Asia, and spent a lot of time in North America. My favorite place was New Jersey. And the reason is the intellectual diversity and the excitement that exists there. It's a very sophisticated state. The infrastructure is excellent. The schools for my kids were excellent. And also it's a place where I could get to build a career in global corporations in the pharmaceutical industry. So I'm very grateful to the state of New Jersey.
Oh, that's lovely, very lovely. My mother's from New Jersey.
Ah, okay.
So when you were a kid, did you imagine yourself in a leadership role in a life science company? And if not, what do you remember imagining at that time?
My dad was a civil servant, so I obviously thought about being in that category. But I grew up thinking I was going to be in the private sector. I really wanted to go to the private sector. And at that time, chemistry was the big thing in the 50s and 60s and early 70s. So I probably would have ended up in chemistry of some type, polymers, plastics, whatever. I ended up in pharmaceuticals, which is probably not too far off the mark.
Okay, nice. Number 10, if you had more time, what would you do with it?
If I had more time, I would get to spend more time with my wife. She's been my wife for 45 years. She's my best friend. I'd love to spend more time with my best friend.
Oh, lovely. Fred, thank you so much. I
Thank you
appreciate
very
your
much.
time.